I must have been talking to myself. Here we go.
Oh my,
There we go. Hello everybody. Just had a technical difficulty there. Looks like we got Dixie tuning in. We have her audio up and running.
hello everybody.
Uh, and let's see here. Just have everyone join us. All right, guys, welcome. It's kind of starting on time. I really appreciate everyone who's joining us right now at the moment. This is really cool. And tonight we're gonna not only just be talking about all paranormal stuff in general, but we are really excited to be able to introduce to everyone some of our newest team members. But before we get to that, um, I want to quickly go ahead and, for those who are not familiar with who I am, my name is Chris August, and I am the director of OC Ghosts and Legends. And we also have Dixie here with us. Dixie, introduce yourself.
Hello everybody. I am Dixie. I am the OC Ghost and Legends spiritual medium, psychic, and spiritual healer. So hello to everybody.
And
I'm
there's a
sorry. I have
cat.
cats all. Yeah, there's cats everywhere. I have 11 of them, and they're scurrying around. So please, if you see a cat, if it's doing something weird, forgive me. I don't know. They do weird stuff back there. So hello everybody. Welcome to my crazy world.
I'm all about it. I love seeing the cats. It actually puts me in a good mood. Seeing random kitties walking around.
As long as they're not doing anything ridiculous or embarrassing, then yeah, it's totally fine for me.
No, we want that. That's good entertainment. I'm all about it. So Dixie, how's everything going on your end? What's everything good and everyone's healthy in your world over there?
Yeah, everyone's doing really well. I think everybody knows by now that I work at a veterinary clinic. I'm a veterinary technician, and I'm still working. I'm still doing my thing. Everything's going really well. My cats are doing all right, so I couldn't be happier. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I think we can all agree that we all have some cabin fever and we're all anxious to get back into the world and we want to get back out and investigate. We want to explore. Just a message to everyone who's listening. Keep up the positive spirits. It's almost over and we're going to get through this. So if you are
Yeah,
joining us tonight for just kind of something to take your mind off of things and, step off of Netflix for a while, we really appreciate you joining us. And it means a lot that you're here and your support. And, we're just going to talk a bunch of nonsense and talk about ghosts and legends and take your questions. And the more we do these things, we want to talk to you guys and we want to hear your stories and your experiences. That's half the fun. So, um, but tonight, let's actually we're gonna get right to it. And just so you guys know, we are on a delay, and so we we will acknowledge you here. And so if it's a little delayed, apologies, but we are going to monitor things. So welcome. All right. So for those of you who don't know, back in January, I feel like I'm having a brain fart here. Was that January? The audition seems so
yes,
long ago.
yeah,
Okay, January seems like a year ago, and we're just finishing up April. But back in January, we had our second ever field audition for people who were interested in joining the team, and this was an opportunity for people to come out. And whether you have experience or no experience, we're really looking for people who have the passion, who are driven, and who are willing to do the work. People who are able to utilize critical thinking, and we just want commitment. And we're there are a lot of people who think that investigating is just a matter of going into a scary place or not so scary place, but going into a location where there's alleged to be paranormal activity and playing with some equipment and having fun and playing around for a while and then that's it. Well, that's a fun part, but what really goes into this is the work you do beforehand to prepare, the work, yes, that you do during the investigation, and then naturally the work that comes in afterwards. And if anything, the post work, the post investigative work, is one of the most important aspects of the job. So, of course, you know, once the new team members were offered a role, the world went to hell, and I credit Heather for that one. It still makes me laugh. It it really does make me laugh. Um, it is the way it is, but we're ready, and I think overall we're really happy with who we did choose, and everyone worked for it. Everyone showed up, everyone put in the time, put in the effort, and we're also naturally considering how people will fit into our dynamic and who we are. You got to be able to laugh, you got to be able to be willing to be made fun of. And if you're and we're not in a bullying type of way, but we like to have fun with each other, and we take what we do seriously, but we don't take ourselves so seriously. So without further ado, and Dixie here is going to help me get to know, or I'll have you guys get to know our new team members. And at the end of the day, from the January audition, we chose actually 4 people. And unfortunately, one of the 4 is not able to join us today. So the other 3 are here. We're going to introduce them to you. They're going to tell you a little bit about themselves. And so let's go ahead and bring everybody on here. Okay. So I'll make sure you guys are all, your microphones are on. All right. So we got, let's start with Heather. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Heather. And I don't want to butcher your last name, Heather. Can you pronounce it properly for me?
Fiore.
Fiore. Okay. I was saying Fiore all this time.
Everybody does, yeah. And my maiden name was actually worse. So
do we ask? Do we...
So in your mind, picture Badillo.
Modelo?
But
What's wrong with Modelo?
Yeah, well, I would have probably said Badillo.
Is it Badillo? Very good.
Badillo? Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, let's. But I'm Heather Fiore. Yes, nice to meet you.
Fiore. Okay, Heather. We'll circle back around to everyone, and then we have Christine. Is it Buncharian?
Buncharian.
Buncharian.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No very accent.
Good. Hello, Christine.
Hello.
And then we have Tawny Lewis. Tawny, hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tawny. Pleasure to meet you guys.
Awesome. This is really cool. I'm excited that you guys are probably going to do a lot of the talking today. And Dixie, let's get it kicked off. Let's have them get started.
All right. So I think I'm going to start with Heather because she's the first face I see. So just going to ask you guys a couple questions, and anyone that's out there in the audience that has any questions for anybody or for Cris or myself, chime in, put those comments in, and we will answer those questions. So for Heather, how did you become interested in the paranormal? Just tell me your backstory, everything that got you into everything spiritual and paranormal.
So I think it was always in my background. The very beginning was my mom later on told me that she would see me out front of the house on the sidewalk talking, and nobody was there. And I vividly remember 2 younger gentlemen. I know exactly what they looked like. I don't remember our conversations, and they didn't play with me. We just talked. So later on in life, because I forgot, she told me that, oh yeah, your imaginary play friends were 2 older men.
They're never really imaginary, are they?
No. So it was just always something, there's stuff that happens around the house, that type of stuff. Okay. So I hear things. So it's just,
just everyday normal stuff, the day in the life of a sensitive.
I guess I claim to be anything. So I don't know. It's just always been a part of my life. So that's how it's always just been a part of me.
That's very cool. So tell us what the craziest paranormal experience you've ever had was, or anything.
Because it's always been a part of my life, whenever anything happens, I just kind of go, meh. You know, like
Chris's favorite word.
Like the
I don't
time
want to talk about it.
The time I was house sitting, and my toes got bit, and I opened my eyes, and there was a thing with a big circle face and jagged like teeth doing this, smiling.
Wow.
And I just went, oh, that's weird. And I fell back.
Yeah, some people might scream, some people might run out. You're like, meh, I'll just go back to sleep.
Yeah. God, I hope nobody does that.
There was a time where when my husband and my son and I became a family, there was, I knew it was a man. I didn't see the face because there was no head, but it was a puffy jacket, and he was leaning over like this, my feet. And I woke up and I went, oh, I'll have to tell John about that in the morning.
Back to this doesn't bug her at all.
So I don't have a crazy thing. The thing with the 2 investigations that we got to before the world ended, I did get some EVPs, and that was very interesting.
Okay.
With Los Rios and the theater. So that was very cool.
What did the EVP say? What did you get on there?
I got some laughter.
Okay.
I got, which thank you, Cris, for sharing with me WavePad or Wave, whatever it is, because I had my digital recorder and my iPhone in 2 separate locations, and both of them in the microphone got in hell. So it was interesting. And then the whole, what is it called? Scrying?
Scrying.
Yeah. So I tried that. Christine actually mentioned that, and I tried that, and we got some things. Tanya and I seem to be connected in a weird way, where I've asked her things and she's confirmed it. So
okay.
It's been very interesting.
All right. Well, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, you've had a lot of pretty cool experiences. So tell us, do you have a special skill or anything that you can bring to the team? Like, you know, if you're a techie or if you're sensitive or equipment, anything like that?
I don't know if, well, I've had somebody say that I do have abilities, but I think what I bring to the team is that I'm an actor, and not to toot my own horn, but toot, toot, toot. I'm a very good actor. And so I go deep into the background. So I do a lot of research. So with this team, I've been checking my audio with other audio to see if I can debunk something.
Yes.
Or to just go, I can't explain that. And also I've been hitting up a lot of historical societies to try to gain information. I'm very research driven, so I think that's, yeah.
And that's actually a really cool thing to have, because like Cris says, not a lot of people like to do the research. Not a lot of people like to go, you know, sit in the library or go field searching and talking to people and going to the historical societies, because it can be kind of draining, and, you know, it takes stamina and patience to go through all that. So that's a good quality to have, especially in this team. It's really, really good.
Absolutely. And actually, before we I want to kind of ask kind of everyone the same question as we go along. And I know we got some questions in the chat as well. Christine, let's get to you real quick, and we're going to circle back around to Heather again. Again, welcome to the team. You've been with us clearly for a couple months now. So Christine, just a little background. I know you've been coming to our events for many years, and
for 5 years.
Yeah, you were always a familiar face. We would get so excited to see you, and because we knew you were so passionate and you were loyal. You
Thank you.
supported us, and that loyalty also really stood out.
Thank you.
And that meant a lot to us. So being able to interact with you at those events and seeing how much this stuff really was something you loved, that really helped you in your audition. That's for sure. But
Yeah.
just give us a quick background as to what it is about the paranormal, why you're here.
I had my first paranormal experience when I was 8 years old, the day that my great grandmother died. She told me that she was not going to be here when I came home from school, and she died that day. So I don't know. And then that night, I felt her presence upstairs, and I heard her walking and going into the bathroom and shutting the door, and nobody was upstairs. That was my first paranormal experience, and I've been hooked ever since. I
Oh,
always go out of my way to find haunted places. All my friends know, all my family know. So I am super excited to be on your team. Super excited. And I love it so much that I actually brought my children into paranormal.
that's awesome, and I know we've met them over the years, and they're equally as cool as their mom,
Oh,
and
thanks.
we see where they get it.
I also brought my daughter-in-law too.
I know, I remember. Everyone, yeah, bring the whole family, bring every
Yeah.
generation you can find.
Mhm.
Very cool. So let's ask Tawny the same question. Tawny, how'd you get into the paranormal? Why are you here?
I've always been interested in it. I have always been sensitive my whole life. So I am also a psychic medium. And so whenever I travel, I made it a point to visit haunted places because it just drew me. It just drew my attention. And also I'm really big into history. And so when I do investigations, to me, what's intriguing is that what we're looking for are we're investigating these people, their lives. These were real people that lived, that have stories, that have background, and us as investigators, we actually get to do that research and learn more about them and help their life, like their backstory come to life. And it's amazing to me, and it's just always interested me.
You know what? I will say this, Tawny. I really appreciate you saying that because a lot of people do forget that these were people. These were actual human
Yes.
beings, and they're not just, animals in a zoo for people to go and gawk at. I mean, they were alive. Like you said, they had backstories, they had feelings, and they're still reliving some of those things. So I always tell people if you're going to do any kind of investigations like this, please have respect because if you were in their position, you wouldn't want someone poking you with a stick and trying to get you to do things you didn't want to do or whatever. And, I mean, our team, I feel, is really respectful. And we have a lot of, homage to the locations that we go to and the people and the backstories and every spirit and the dwelling. We have a lot of respect for, and I appreciate that. But in a lot of teams out there, they're just trying to poke the bear. And you really have to have some kind of reverence when you
Yeah.
go into these places because they're real. They're real people. And some of these souls are still reliving the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm really happy you said that. Thank you.
Thank you. Exactly. I appreciate that.
Yes, yes. Now everyone has a very unique background to themselves. We all come from different walks of life. Nobody has the same story. Generally speaking, I think everyone has had their own experience at some point in their life that has brought them here today and has made you want to explore this topic and understand it a little bit better. We did have a question from somebody in the chat, which is a very good question to gain some more insight to what everyone does outside of OCGL. Or what you have done as a career, or what kind of career world you came from. Give us some insight, Heather, real quick. Tell us about what you've done career wise throughout your life outside of OCGL.
Mainly, I was a martial arts teacher for about 15 years, Kung Fu and Tai Chi.
Oh, I didn't know
And
this. Why didn't anybody tell me this?
um, so,
Seriously, why am I just learning this now? I am not running into Heather in the dark. I'm just...
and I continue to teach independently, and then also I've been an actor since about 1992.
Awesome.
I've never gotten paid for it, mind you, but I act, and I think that's what inspired me to want to join the team, was to just get to know the why.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Christine, what's your background?
I've been in many jobs. I used to work retail, Disneyland. I was a stand-in in the movie industry. I played Casper, the friendly ghost.
I love that.
So it's a given. I've had so many jobs, worked at hospitals, you name it, I've done it. So right now I don't have a job, but that's fine.
Okay, not a lot of people do right now. Don't beat yourself up. It's okay.
You know what? Then the more time you can spend with us.
Yes.
That's how I look at it.
That's how I look at it. Yes.
Okay, very cool. So, wow. I mean, we haven't, even though it's been since, early February since you guys officially onboarded, but it seems like we haven't had the opportunity to get to know each other as well as we want to, because we have been isolated for the past couple months. So it is still pretty cool for me, because I'm learning, just as everyone else is listening right now, about your background that you didn't say anything about before. So no, these are really cool. I love this. Tawny, give us your background.
Gosh, let's see. What's fun is I was with Hot Dog on a Stick for 13 years.
Cool.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Oh my God. Oh, their cheese on a stick is to die for. Okay, go on.
Years, and I worked my way up. I was every role. I was a district manager. Then I worked for a popcorn company for a few years. I was the director of operations. And right now I work for a boutique. I'm the district manager for that boutique. And then on the side, I used to act like Heather. I did a lot of theater. I haven't done it in a while, and I do miss it, but I've been really focused on the work and now paranormal. So the acting is kind of on the back burner right now.
That's, we have a lot of theater people that are either on this team now, or we've had some other theater people who've been heavily involved in that world as well. I wonder what the connection is with theater people. Heather?
Mika and I actually went to high school together, and that's how we met, was 42nd Street. We were co-directors.
That's awesome. So how long ago was that? Do I dare ask?
92.
92. A long time ago. Okay. Dixie, go ahead. What do we want to ask them next?
All right. So let's see what we got here. All right, guys. I know this is a pretty cliche question, but if you could investigate any location in the world, where would you go and why? So let's see. Let's start with Heather.
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
I know.
You know what? Actually, I would love to go in Oceanside. There is a cemetery called Eternal Hills, and that's where a lot of my family members are buried. And I would love to go to the gravesite of my ancestors and just do an EVP recording.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Fun. Graveyards are a little difficult though, because some of them are pretty peaceful and there's not a lot of stuff going on, and some of them have legends, and then they're just like kids out there scaring each other at the cemetery. So that one can be a little, cemeteries are kind of off and on. At least in my experience going to cemeteries, some of them can be off and on. So that would be, we haven't really gone to a cemetery yet, so that would be interesting.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know if it was a team thing, but I would go.
Oh, you personally? Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been there several times, and it's always peaceful. The weird thing is, when I always go, it's always windy.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it's always been a nice spot to go. In fact, the day that we made funeral arrangements for my mom, we went to visit my ancestors. And as my dad and I were walking back up the hill, and my dad was very emotional, he was like, "Oh, mija, I wish I would have made better choices." I could feel, I could feel my mom put her hand on my shoulder and just start laughing and going, "He's always been so emotional, mija. Just let him be." So, I would love to go there.
All right. All right, Christine, where would you go if you could investigate anywhere on the planet?
I would go to Wicklow Gallows in Ireland. It's known as the Gates of Hell. It's a prison.
I think
That
I have
sounds
heard of
awesome.
that. Yeah.
That sounds pretty darn cool.
Yeah. So
for
we
sure.
need to save up some money and go to Ireland.
I'm
Sure.
count me in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what about that place stands out for you?
Just that 1,000 prisoners died there, and they were not very nice. They didn't treat their prisoners very nice. So I'm sure there's a lot of residual hauntings there, and that would be the best thing, just to go. And Ireland is known for a lot of haunted places, so it's not like you
Absolutely.
could pick and choose where you want to go. So that would be phenomenal.
Absolutely. Ireland has an amazing history and a lot of potential. That would be there's so many places. How do you even start? How do you even choose where to go first? That's a really good answer. Tawny, what about you?
Well, real quick, I do plan on winning the lottery this weekend.
Oh, this
Yeah,
weekend?
all of us. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Tawny, so give us your ideal.
I am itching to investigate the Valeska axe murder house, which I believe is in Iowa. And I have absolutely no reason to go to Iowa, so I don't know how I'm going to get there. But there's so much history on that property. Gosh, and you're allowed to actually spend the night there to do your investigation. So that's one that I've just.
Wow. That would be pretty cool. So maybe we need to make a trip to Iowa. Not Ireland, but it's Iowa, so maybe. You never know.
I have no doubt that Iowa has its legends, and I'm not from Iowa. If we have any Iowa people listening in, maybe you're aware of some pretty cool locations. I don't underestimate any place, either in the country, outside the country. Every state, every location has a story to tell. So that's a good one, Tawny.
Yeah.
All right, Dixie, what do we got next?
Well, I'm going to ask Christine. So, what's the craziest paranormal experience that you've ever had?
When I stayed at the Stanley Hotel last year, and I put my recorder on my nightstand, and I actually got my first A-class EVP. I was so excited that I messaged Cris, and I was like, I got my first A EVP, and it was the best feeling ever.
All right, what did it say? You got to tell us.
Well, I just said that, I'm going to dinner. If you want to say anything, just say anything. And when I got back and analyzed it, I heard a woman say, "Bye." I still have it on my phone. Yeah, like, bye.
Did they have like an attitude or something? Or
no, she was just I'm thinking maybe it's Mrs. Stanley, but I don't know. But she was just like, "Okay, bye." Like, I'll stay here.
That's pretty cool.
Your first EVP.
My first.
Never forget it. When it happens, especially when it's from a recorder that you were specifically handling.
Yes.
It's one thing. Yeah, absolutely. It's equally as elevating when you hear it as a team and on one of the other recorders.
I had to hear it like 2 or 3 times because I just could not believe my ears. And the person I was with, I was punching him. And he's like, "Why are you punching me?" And I'm like, "You don't understand the first class AVP or EVP. Oh my God, you don't understand it."
You don't understand it until you understand the significance of a really good EVP.
Well, you just want to grab him and shake him like, "Are you hearing the same thing I am?"
Exactly. And he's a skeptic. So when he heard it, he was like, "Oh my God, like, I don't want to stay in this room now."
Oh, I'd be
It's
setting up. I'd be setting up like 10 recorders at that
Well,
point.
see, and then that's what I did. I did my own investigation and I got my
Go.
K2 meter out and I got, my thermal on my phone. I mean, I did a full thing and he was like, please don't let me see anything. Please don't let me see anything. And I was like, oh, shut up. We're doing this. So it was awesome.
Most people will have their covers over their head or they'll be hiding under the
Yes.
blankets, but an
Mhm.
investigator is pulling out all the stops. You're getting the
Exactly.
phones going, you're, setting up cameras, whatever you got to do, and you're talking to
Exactly.
yourself in a hotel room asking questions.
Yep. Exactly what I did.
Well, that's pretty cool. So that's a cool experience that you got.
Yes.
So,
very cool.
all right. So Tawny, same thing for you. What's the craziest paranormal thing that's ever happened to you?
Like 10 years ago, me and my best friend Brandon, we were in San Diego at the Whaley House, and we were getting intelligent responses using a K2 meter in the courtroom area. And everything we got was that it was an Indian young woman, servant, things like that. And we found out later from the investigator there that there was indeed an Indian woman that lived. They made her stay in the courtroom area. She was a servant to the Whaleys, and basically confirming everything that him and I got. And he says, she rarely comes through. It's interesting that she came through to you and him. And that was really cool because him and I were like, holy crap, this is awesome. But she was very, very communicative when we were there. And she just seemed interested to just talk to us, which I wish I had an EVP at the time, but we were super young at the time. We didn't think about it. But that was probably one of the coolest but craziest experiences I've had with a paranormal.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, well, the Whaley House, once again, can be kind of hit and miss sometimes. Like, I can go there and feel all kinds of crazy stuff, the vortex that they talk about there and all that. And other times I'll go there and it's just quiet and there's nothing really going on. So, and just like people, spirits have their on days and they have their off days. And sometimes they want to talk and sometimes they just want to tell you, get the F out of my space. So it just depends on, literally the day. And I really believe the weather had something to do with it too. So, that's the Whaley House, and it has there's a lot of information at the Whaley House that they don't tell you that psychically I pick up on. I'm like, there was some weird stuff going on here. So I would love to go there to do an actual investigation, even though I know a lot of people have, but that would be a pretty cool one to do too.
Definitely. I love the Whaley House.
Yeah. Yes, Heather.
So I'm closer to San Diego than all you guys. I live in Oceanside, and I've been to the Whaley House. And I think one of the first evidence that I got was probably about 20 years ago. My cousins from Philadelphia came out, and we were in Old Town. We were doing like the Torrey Pines thing, San Diego thing. And last thing we went to was Old Town. And I said, this is supposed to be haunted. And half of my relatives dipped out. They're like, no, we're not. But my young cousin did. And we went up, and I think that was the first. Well, no, I can't say first because I've experienced stuff. But my cousin took a picture in one of the rooms, and there was an orb. And that was the first time that I saw an orb. But there's something familiar about the Whaley House that I just adore. I adore that place. And when we got done with the tour, the docent, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Actually, I said, so there's an entryway between two rooms and there's a curtain moving. Is there like an air conditioning thing or air moving there? And she said, no, we have no idea why that curtain moves. It moves, sometimes it doesn't. But if you guys want to come into the living room, and she actually opened up the gate and showed us pictures that people had sent. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the Whaley House, I mean, it's a pretty neat place. Even historically, without any spiritual stuff going on, it's just it's an interesting place. There's a lot of weird stuff going on behind the scenes that happened there with the family that it's a fun backstory. And like I said, a lot of it they don't tell you, but psychically I'm like, oh, there was some weird murder stuff going on here. But that's for another day. So that's
And
just my experience with the Whaley House.
I think it's also important to remember that different people experience different locations very differently. And in my experience, and this is just me, I haven't had much of a personal connection with the Whaley House. So for me, I never really picked up on much there. But I know it is a location where people have received tremendous, pieces of information, be it audible or something attempting to communicate. But for me personally, I haven't connected with Whaley House, but I know everyone responds and reacts to places. And I use the example of San Juan, the Lek House. For me, in all of our tours, I talk about it all the time. The Lek House, just there's something about it that as I always say, my spidey senses are flying off the charts when I go there. But then there are people who approach that house and they think, what's the big deal? I don't feel anything. So it's not always a one size fits all. Everyone interacts and registers things very differently at different locations.
Yeah, very true.
So that would leave. Did we get Heather's take
On
her defining experience?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
right?
Like I said, it's just been all around me, so it's not anything that's like rah, shocking. It's just
Right.
I talk, I hear, so whatever.
Another day. It's another
Yeah,
day.
just like me. I mean, the amount of stuff that I see and feel and hear on a daily basis, I'm at the point where I'm like, whatever. Like, yeah, I can definitely relate with that, where I can wake up and see someone, whatever, I'll deal with you in the morning and just go back to sleep. But, a lot of people would see stuff and just flip out. So it just depends on who you are and how you take stuff. And sometimes it can take experience with it. But going off of that, so I want to know, where is the number one place you guys would absolutely never want to go?
It's a good question.
If you heard things about a certain location, what is like a big no-no location for you guys? Do you have one? Anyone can jump in for this one.
I don't really think I do.
Yeah, I don't either. I think my, not courage, but just its acceptability, I guess, comes from my mom, who is very courageous and just dealt with things as they are. So I don't think, and she was very prevalent to just going, look, there's a source, there are tributaries. We have no idea. So that's just how it is, Mija. But I was raised Catholic. But within that sense, she also made it clear to be able to talk to people that had passed. So I don't think for me there's any place where I would be off limits to.
Okay. What about you, Christine?
No, I don't.
You just want to go everywhere.
I just want to do it. I just want to go out there. I don't know. I don't care. I'll go to the local McDonald's if it's haunted. I don't care. Like I
like that.
I just want to go out, and I want to explore as much as I can.
The gloves are off with Christine. All bets. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Whatever's haunted, I'll go to it. That's fine.
Which is so funny, Christine, because when we got on the team, a global pandemic happened.
I know.
It's the universe saying, I don't think so. You waited 5 years. You're not going to do it.
It's only a couple more months.
A couple more years. Go ahead. Yeah, exactly.
Did we, Tani, I know you mentioned a place that you want to investigate, but do you have a specific, and this, I could be just off in La La Land here, but did you end up telling us what your major experience was, if you had one?
I did,
okay.
But I didn't say the place that I'm afraid to investigate.
Perfect.
Which is that Bobby Mackey Music World.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I apparently there's like a portal there and it terrifies me. And so that's the only place that I've heard or read about where I would try my best to avoid.
And that's totally, understandable considering, watching the Ghosts Adventure stuff and, their take on Bobby Mackey's and, the, supposed demon kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, it's safe to be cautious and say, you know what? I don't think I want to poke that bear. So like, I totally get that. But me, on the other hand, I absolutely I would go anywhere. I'm just like Christine. I will go anywhere at any time and do anything. I'm down for it. So that's my take on it. But I definitely respect people who are cautious when it comes to that, because if you're not protecting yourself and you go into places like that, you might get some things that follow you home that you don't want to go, you don't want them to come home with you. So I totally understand that side of it. So thank you for being brave and speaking up.
We have a question from somebody in the group. This is non-paranormal related, but somebody wanted to ask in the group, Dixie, how many cats do you have?
11.
11.
I have 11 cats, and those are just the inside cats. So I feed a colony outside, and there's
Oh,
5 of them outside that I feed, and I'm trying to socialize so I can try to find homes for. And
that's awesome.
everyone that has a cat in the neighborhood, they know me as the crazy cat lady, and at work I'm the crazy cat lady. So it's like I'll have people
Uh,
dump cats off at my house, and then I'm like, great, now I have to another colony cat I have to feed. So yeah, I have a lot of I have a lot of pussy in my life.
oh Jesus.
Cat
that
people.
that 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 question was from Christina in the chat. It was a good question. Having 11 cats, I now officially feel like a jerk if I get really impatient and annoyed with my one cat. So
I owe one. That
we
was
have a
so long ago for me.
we have a question in the chat from Clifford Anderson. And this everyone can share if they've had an experience like this, but he asks, can a ghost follow you home after an investigation? And this topic can get pretty deep, but it is absolutely possible, and I personally have experienced that myself, which is interestingly enough how I really jumped into the field, is because I don't know for sure, but I believe I did take something home with me, and that was kind of the start of my career in this business and in the field. Dixie, and quickly, any insight you want to add to that for Clifford?
Yeah, so unfortunately, yeah, you can definitely bring stuff home with you. So that's why I tell people to really respect your locations, because if you're just poking and prodding these spirits all night long and you're expecting them to come and talk to you, guess what? They're going to come and talk to you, and they might follow you home to talk to you. And some of those things you don't want them to follow you home. So I tell people to really be cautious with that. Learning how to do like a self purification and cleansing really helps after you're done doing investigation. So even if you have, something that's a protective thing that you can rely on, or if you do your own ritual or whatever you do to kind of cleanse yourself or ground yourself, I tell people do it. Just do not leave a location without cleansing yourself or making yourself feel powerful to go home and separate yourself from whatever's there. But they can definitely follow you home if you're not careful. Yeah, Heather.
So one of the things that I appreciated, because it's been all around me all this time. I was just like, oh, whatever. But when I started watching TV things, one of the things was protecting yourself. And so one of the things that I really appreciated was at our audition, you offered kind of like a cleansing thing. So I feel like every investigation afterwards, I do, exactly what you did.
And that's awesome. I really appreciate that you took that to heart and that you started, if you're practicing that on your own. But I definitely recommend having some kind of ritual to just detach yourself, because some people, they can get really emotionally attached to spirits and locations and things and keep going back, and they feel drawn to keep going back to a certain location and talking to a certain spirit. And if you have that draw, there's a possibility that they might be attached to you. So you really don't want that connection because they're draining you. So I really just try to educate people on trying to separate themselves from that connect. It's good to have a connection, but a safe connection. So please, guys, try your best to do some kind of ritual, even if it's on your own. You don't need to go see a psychic or a medium. Do something on your own that makes you feel powerful, that you separate yourself from all the BS that's happening at a location, so you don't have nightmares when you get home, and you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night and have weird things standing at the edge of your bed and all that fun stuff that can happen. So just protect yourself.
Now, Tawny, I know you've done some investigations previously before joining the team. Have you had any experiences where you felt that something may have followed you home?
No, I was always very afraid of that, but very cautious. And so luckily, so far, knock on wood, it has not happened, or at least not that I'm aware of anything has followed or attached itself to me.
Do you think that do you feel that maybe you've done something before going into investigation? Is it your mindset or something that you do to protect yourself?
Yeah, there's a few things. I always try to keep myself high vibrational, and I always think positive, and I try to, because it scare me, but then I kind of dropped it. And so I also have a ritual where I ensure I pray. I used to wear certain jewelry before I would go into investigations. Right now I start to wear crystals. I carry selenite, amethyst on me. But yeah, I just keep myself high vibe, and I pray before I go in, and I pray before I leave after my cleansing. So when Dixie cleansed me after I left, I sat in my car and prayed, and then I went on my way.
Awesome.
That's
So
awesome.
good. So, everyone has their own personal protection protocol that they utilize. I've been very fortunate. I I go in to each investigation feeling very positive and confident. I've never really personally been scared of an attachment, even though the irony is that I got into this because of a potential attachment, but it really has never been something that has always been in the forefront of my mind. My intent when I'm going in, I guess it doesn't scare me because I know the intent I'm going in with. And hey, if they want to come home with me, then they better do some talking, because
Well, you don't want them to be like waking you up at 3 a.m. doing talking, but
well, I'll still be awake. So they.
I will be too. I'm an insomniac with 11 freaking cats. I don't get a lot of sleep.
uh, Christine, you've been to a lot of places. Generally speaking, whether it's investigation or just visiting, any places that you feel that you may have brought something home?
No, no. Mm-mm.
Good.
Which I'm fine with. That's fine. If something wants to come home with me, that's fine. It's really not my house, so that's okay. They can stay here, and I'll go off. But no, nothing. And thanks to Dixie for cleansing my family, and when we were at the Omen house, that was helpful because we were a little hesitant about that. And then at the playhouse, it's a comforting thing whether you believe it or not. It's just something that you kind of accept it. You're just like, okay, either it's going to work or it's not going to work.
That's a good answer. And Dixie, this is a good question that somebody mentioned here, Belle. How does spirit drain you emotionally? How do they do that?
Well, there's a few different ways for spirits to emotionally drain you. A lot of people that are considered empaths that can feel emotions. So if you can feel another person's emotion, or if you walk into like a building or a room and all of a sudden you're just angry and you have no idea why, that's you picking up on an emotion that happened there at some point in time. It could have just happened. It could have been something that happened 5 years ago. If your significant other is, going through something and they're not telling you, and if you're feeling like, hey, there's something going on here, you can feel that anger, you can feel, certain things. So being an empath, you can absorb a lot of the emotional residual stuff that's happening around you. So usually what I tell people if they're empathic is telling the universe 3 times, if this is not mine, please take it away. Say that 3 times. If the emotion lifts, then you know it's not yours. And that is a way of to detach yourself from anything, spiritual that might be going on. If it's even like a live person, just separating yourself and saying, if this is not mine, please take it away. And if the emotion is still there, then it's your own BS that you got to deal with. And I know, because I've had to do that before. I'm like, damn it, I'm angry and I don't know why. And then I know it's mine and now I don't know what to do with it. So I get it. But yeah, definitely that's a very good empathic, emotional way to detach. And then what was the question again? I'm sorry. I went off on something and then I forgot. It was
Yeah, she Belle was asking, how do they drain you, or how does that work? Can a
okay.
spirit
Yeah,
drain
yeah.
you?
That's what I'm like. Oh, wait a minute. My
Mhm.
cat, like mine, got somewhere else. So that could be emotionally draining, but you can get your power back by, getting that emotion away from you. And then if they become attached to you, unfortunately, there's not a lot I mean, they get sucked into your aura. So once the spirit that is earthbound that thinks they're dying because they haven't crossed over to the light and they're looking for an energy source, they can try to take your energy source so they can, still be alive in a way. So it's kind of a weird topic when it comes to spiritual attachments, because there can be different kinds of attachments, that emotional stuff and physical. And usually what I tell people too is try to cut the cord. So everybody has cords that go to certain people and even spirits. So try to, imagine that gold cord going from you to that spirit, gold scissors, cutting that cord and seeing if you feel a little bit better. But that's pretty much how they drain you, is they get sucked into your aura. And a lot of times when we're not feeling great, so if we're already weak in energy, or if we're, not feeling great, or we're sad or depressed, or any of those lower energies that lower our vibrations, that makes us easy targets for spirits to actually drain us even further, because they're like, oh, I can get into your aura because it's not very strong right now. So they drain you even more of that. So separating yourself, surrounding yourself in white light, asking your guides to, detach any spiritual energy that might be sucking you dry. And carrying empowering things like talismans, crystals, stuff like that that's going to empower your aura, make you feel better, so that you're not being drained by spiritual entities. So I find that really helps. And especially if you're going to go into somewhere, you want to do those 3 things to protect yourself, just in general, is surround yourself in white light, ask your guides to be present to, protect you and keep you safe, or, God, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, and carrying something that's going to make you feel powerful, whether it be, a necklace or a religious icon or a crystal, just protecting yourself before you go into these places so that nothing does drain you and nothing does attach itself to you.
Yes, and I think, and Heather, I see you raising your hand. I'll get to you in just a sec. I think your state of being and your state of mind is extra super critical approaching an investigation. You walk into that investigation and you're really stressed out. You've got some stuff going on in your life, and just your state of mind is not in the most stable state. And as Dixie mentioned, that does make you more vulnerable. You feel things very differently. I've definitely approached some investigations where maybe I wasn't in the best mood, and it does really alter your experience, and it does make you more susceptible, and you experience those things very differently. So it really is important that anytime you do go into an investigation, that you approach this by being as healthy as you can be, in a positive state of mind, and ideally, and it's easier said than done, but leaving those personal issues at the door, because you need every bit of strength and purpose when you walk in there. You need every ounce of that. So, Heather, what were you going to say?
Oh no, I see my friend Corey is in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And she's actually, again, like I said, the things that go on in my life, I was just like, oh well, this is normal, so whatever. But it's funny, the juxtaposition where I would see things and whatnot, and it was every day. And then I met my friend Corey, and she told me of a time where in her house, all of the cupboards in the kitchen would open for no reason. And I was like, oh my God, tell me about that. Meanwhile, I'm talking to like dead people, but I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Tell me about that. And she was actually, so talking about cleansing or talking about protecting yourself, I directed Macbeth. I'm not in theater, so I'm not going to curse myself. So, and I wanted to set it in a New Orleans type of manner so that the witches were voodoo priestesses. So I did some research, and Corey actually directed me on how to protect, because it's a notoriously plagued show, where every production somebody gets hurt or something happens. So we actually found somebody to direct us on how to protect the play. So every single performance, I would do a ritual. And now I'm thinking about it, because again, it was, to me, it was just nothing. It was just like, okay, so this is what you do. So now I'm thinking about it. That was my first ritual that I did to protect everyone. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they do rituals without even thinking, hey, I'm doing a ritual to protect myself. And just like Tawny said, praying, those simple little things that are like asking for protection and asking for, your strength and whatever people do to make themselves feel powerful. So a lot of people do a lot of ritualistic kind of stuff and don't even realize they're doing it. So it happens with a lot of people.
And I think it's funny, because I'm listening to a podcast about witches, which was so taboo. And there's also some other stuff that I'm listening to. But it's so funny how, as being brought up as Catholic, there is so much ritual that goes on in a mass.
Oh my God, yeah, it's like the whole thing is a ritual. So I mean, even like their Catholicism itself and their weddings and their funerals and their masses, like everything is a ritual.
Yeah, so it's interesting to know that all this time I've been doing protection stuff. So it's cool.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
So that's awesome. That's a really good thank you for sharing that. One of the questions I wanted to ask you guys, since when you were when you joined the team or before you joined the team, my question to you is, being that there are so many teams out there, you could, I guess, choose any team you wanted to. Why OCGL? Why OC Ghosts and Legends did you choose to be a part of this team? Let's go ahead and start with Christine.
I found you guys on Valentine's Day and wanted to do
Valentine's
something.
Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. Because
What year?
it was 2015. I want to say.
Seems so long ago.
Yeah, I know, right? So anyway, I wanted to do something different, something fun. And I came across you guys, and I just like the way that you guys represent yourself. You guys don't push, oh, well, this is haunted, or this is haunted, or this is haunted. You actually let the client actually feel what they want to feel. And if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask them, and you will tell the truth. You won't be telling lies or legends, or like some other people. You're not possessed all the time.
Well, speak for yourself.
But I liked how you guys interacted with everybody. You actually taught them how to investigate without actually teaching them how to investigate. But you guys are so well informed, and I just love that about you guys. That's why I stuck with you for 5 years.
And
I have the best time with you guys. And like with the fake stuff, I'm a big chicken with fake stuff. But with real stuff, I'm I'm so fearless. And I have to thank you guys for that, because every time I'm with you, I don't feel afraid. I feel like I can actually explore what I want to explore, and I'll be okay, you know? So
That's
I,
great.
I, I love you guys to death. I mean, as I said, I brought my children in, I brought my friends in, you know, I talk about you guys all the time.
We,
You're
you
well
know,
known.
we were so, we were really grateful for that. And as you're on the other side of the curtain now, um we hope that you will equally take as much pride in being able to connect with people who do come to our events and sharing in their experiences, many who've never been able to do any kind of investigation, or they've never been to a haunted place in their life, at least knowingly. But as you mentioned, we don't want to force an experience on anyone, and it's really important that's that we're transparent during every event. We are never going to guarantee that anybody's going to experience or feel or see anything, and but we want people to walk out of every situation, out of every location, feeling a sense of learning something, and
Right,
to have taken something valuable from that investigation, even if you didn't see anything.
right.
But safety is important, and this team, we trust is really our backbone. We have to trust each other. We have to rely on each other, and keep each other safe. So we're always looking out for one another, and being able to make our guests feel safe is really important. And I love that you were able to feel that.
I
And
do every time. Every time I investigated with you guys, I've always felt like protected, just as a group, just protected whoever I was with. It was an amazing, and you know, the friends that I did bring on, they had an amazing experience, and they have fallen in love with your group since day one. So you're, as I said, you're really well known in my circle of friends and family.
well, send our love to all of them. It means a lot, and surely you'll have a lot more experiences to be able to share with them as we move forward and get back out into the world.
I hope
um,
so.
Definitely. Heather, why OCGL?
Well, a couple of years ago, Mika and I met in Carlsbad to have lunch, and I was watching paranormal TV, and she said, "Oh yeah, well my team." Hold on, stop. Tell me everything about your team. What is going on? What do you do?
Right.
And it was amazing. But at that time, because of my son, which the team knows, those of you who have shared what I have to deal with, um, I've never investigated anything. So she shared with me the audition link, and my husband was like, "You have to do this. You have to go." So I went, and I was just like, what I especially loved about the team was the the shows that I watch on TV that I enjoy are more in they investigate. It's not a dude, bro, dude, bro, dude, bro. Did you hear that? Dude, bro, dude. It's the why, the history. And so our first investigation, our audition at the Playhouse, you explained everything, and then we went about it, and it was very just, let's just talk. So I didn't go in with knowledge of the Playhouse or the area. I just wanted to see what I would catch on my digital recorder, which was interesting. So that's what made me go, because OCGL is the person who I am. I want to know why.
Good. That's great answer. I couldn't say it any better. That's wonderful. Tawny, what about you? Why OCGL?
Similar to Christine, I've done a lot of events. My first one was actually Black Star Canyon in
Yeah.
that was 2014. It was a while ago.
It's a long
And
time ago.
and then I've done yeah, quite a few. The Brackenfern Manor, the ship in sorry, the Star of India. There you go, in San Diego. And one thing I've always liked about the team is that every single person on your team, they're very well versed. They're highly dedicated, very well trained. And as a guest, I felt a part of the experience. And I've done lots of tours around the United States, different ghost tours and events, and I always remembered yours. And so I followed you on social media. I think there was one event you recently did that I didn't get a chance to get in because it had sold out, and I freaked out. And I asked to be put on the waiting list. I was like, put me
Right.
on. But yeah, it's the professionalism and the enthusiasm and the dedication from your team, your entire team, every single person that I've worked with whenever I've been to your events. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And also, honestly, the biggest reason I joined the team is because I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn the basics of being a paranormal investigator. And this was the team.
That's great. And I remember, you know, when you guys did Audition, is I told you guys I don't want you to erase everything that you've learned or your experiences, but I wanted you guys and encouraged you guys to be able to approach it with a clean slate. And we don't want to go into anything with preconceived ideas and just start over. And that's hard to do, especially if we a lot of us have spent a lot of time watching the television shows and seeing certain tactics that they use and experiments that they do. Um, but so much of this is critical thinking, and we have to challenge ourselves to be able to utilize critical thinking. So that is hard to do when we're walking into something where we've been brainwashed to approach things a certain way. So we can't expand our ideas about the paranormal if we are so set on a certain way of thinking. So we have to be able to challenge ourselves and to think outside of what we think we know. And there are things that maybe I believed years ago that after being in the field, I may look at that same concept and think, God, what was I thinking? That's just ridiculous. After having being in the field, I've changed my view about certain things. And I always try to challenge myself to not, you know, convince myself of something because that is what we're told to believe, because nobody has the answers yet. Nobody does. So we have to constantly challenge what we have always thought. Um, and I have to say, for those who are, you know, following this and listening in, and the people who do attend our events and our functions, it every time we do these things and we have an event and we get to share that with you, this is something we are sharing together. And if you do experience something or we experience something, we're doing that together. We're all experiencing it, and we have something to talk about together. And it's something that we don't forget about. And it's pretty cool to look back on something. If you did an event with us at Star of India or Black Star Canyon, these are things you remember. And my mission with OCGL was that we don't want to just be any other tour organization or event, haunted event company. And we are investigators first and foremost, and we're out in the field. That's our default. But we don't want to be like everyone else. We want to challenge you. We want you to open your mind. We want you to feel safe, and we want you to feel comfortable to be able to ask questions, to challenge anything. And that's important. So it really makes me so happy to know that these are the experiences that you had, Tawny and Christine, who had attended many of our events before, and we remember you. And now you can create new memories by being again on the other side of the curtain. And now you can do the same for other people. So I hope that you get to experience that on this side of the line now. So that's wonderful. Dixie, did you have any other questions on your list? I'm trying to catch up here with the chat here.
Yeah. So I didn't ask everybody. So for Christine, so do you have a special skill handy that you can bring to the team?
Well, since I'm with you guys now, I really don't have any fear. So if you guys put me in somewhere creepy or crazy or whatever, I'm all for it.
Are you volunteering to be bait is what I'm asking you right now.
I will be your bait. Yes, I'll be your ghost bait.
This
Exactly.
is good to know. Andrew, move over.
Andrew, move over. I took over. That's
all right. Christine is the new bait. That's awesome. I'm all for it.
We're gonna put you in caves and tunnels and under
I've already
bridges.
done all that stuff. Remember?
This is true. You have, but that was a willing volunteer this time.
Yeah, but it's fine. That's fine.
That's, you know, I've seen it. Christine is fearless. She is not afraid.
That's a good quality.
Except of clowns. If you have clowns, no.
You know what? I used to be afraid of clowns, and not so much anymore. But I understand that fear, so I get it. I get the clown thing. They're not
clowns,
okay.
No snakes. No, those are the only two that I will flip out on. Other than that, I'll be okay.
Good answer, Heather. Same question for you.
Oh no, I already asked Heather that for the handy. Yeah, I was gonna ask
Tawny.
Yeah. So, what do you have that you can use in the team?
Honestly, I've just always been really sensitive to energy. So it's pretty cool, just kind of, in addition to using the tools that we are provided with for the investigation, to just use my intuition and just feel and see and hear. And it's been really, really helpful, and it's been improving. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I've been using the last few investigations I've done, and it's been helpful.
Cool, good. Always, I mean, everybody is sensitive in their own way. Whether people want to believe it or not, everybody has the capability to have some kind of psychic ability or mediumship, or even like a natural born healer. Like people, they have natural abilities for stuff. So, you know, everyone has the capability to be a sensitive, to, you know, listen into their intuition and really just hone in on that spiritual self that they are. So I just want everyone to understand that everyone has the capability to be a psychic. And no, you don't have to accept that, and that's totally fine. But there are people out there who, you know, look for psychic development stuff, and they want to know more about their abilities, and, you know, weird things have been happening throughout their life that they can't understand or explain. So guess what? Everybody's got it. So, you know, I would love to see the world kind of open up, and it's opening up a little bit more and more as we go on. But I think it's going to be really interesting in the next like 10 years to see people really come out of the spiritual closet and accept their, you know, own capabilities. So that's going to be pretty cool. So thank you for, you know, sharing everybody that. And then I did want to ask everybody also, so what is it besides investigations that you guys are most looking forward to while being on the team? So let's start with Heather.
I guess just learning. I like listening to the other investigators' EVPs. Yeah, I'm just a nerd that way.
All right. So Christine, what about you?
I am looking forward to exploring beyond my boundaries, beyond what I believe in. I want things to make me a believer in other things too. I'm excited to expand my paranormal experiences, whether it's tech, whether it's whatever you guys throw at me. I'm ready to go.
Well, now that you're going to be bait, we're going to throw a lot of stuff at you.
That's fine. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, careful what you wish for, but you'll be soaking it up. I know that.
And for Tawny, for you, same thing.
I'm excited to learn the history of every place that we're going to be going to, but also same as Heather is just learning. I want to learn the basics of paranormal investigation, and I would honestly I want to learn from every single person on the team. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Yes, everyone has valuable insight and everyone has something unique to offer. And that's why it's so great that each member of our team has something different to offer, either based on our background, our experience, even new recruits. You all are going to have something critical to offer our team, and we're going to learn from you as well. Heather.
Cris, there's a question. It says from Nicole Cook, do you think your personality can prevent you from feeling things? I wish I could have yet to feel that on any of your tours.
Well, and I'm sure Dixie will have an answer for this as well, but in my opinion, and Nicole, I feel you. There are many times where I'm not tuned in. I'm just not experiencing what maybe other people are experiencing around me. There have been plenty of investigations or even events where everyone's just their minds are blown about something or a feeling, a sound, or they're hearing disembodied voices, they're seeing things, and I'm just completely lost. I'm thinking, what is going on? Why am I not experiencing what you guys are? And I think just speaking for myself, I have a subconscious mental block that I think it is this self-protection thing that I think that does prohibit me from really opening up myself to receive any kind of communication. It is a work in progress. I've been doing this for, over 10 years in the field, and I still haven't fine-tuned what I am doing to receive that communication. When it happens, it blows my mind. But at the same time, I'm thinking, what did I do? What did I do differently now that I haven't that I did before? So it really is not something you're going to learn overnight. I am still, honest to God, trying to figure it out myself. But when I have my moments, it's pretty awesome because you just feel so in tune and connected at that moment. But it's a mystery, and maybe it's self training. And Dixie, what would you say about that?
So, going back to her, believing that personality or, thinking that maybe your personality is blocking anything, I don't think that it's personality. I think a lot of it has to do with subconscious fears because it can be kind of scary. You think about the paranormal and supernatural things happening, and even though you're willing to go on the tour and you want to experience something and you want to have, this life bending thing that happens to you, in your mind you're like, I don't know if I can handle that. And that's totally fine for a lot of that subconscious fear to be like, well, what kind of doors is this really going to open up? So a lot of people have that unknown fear of, I'm curious and I want to know and I want to feel something, but I don't want to be freaked out and I don't want a demon attached to me. So, and those are really valid things to be worried about. So I can understand where people unintentionally will block themselves from receiving any kind of information because subconsciously you're thinking, I don't really know what's out there. I don't know if I really want this or not. And, some people could be really freaked out and not even know it. And it could be upbringing, it could be religious, background, it could be so many other things that could be mentally blocking you from accepting any kind of spiritual experience. And even though, like, you want to be open to it, once again, it's like, how much do I want to be open to it? What is really going to happen to me if I let the floodgates open? Because trust me, some people will let floodgates open and all kinds of crazy experiences will happen. So it's just really being cautious of that. But I don't think personality blocks it. I think it's really what's going on up here, and a lot of meditations can help you open that if you want to, and a lot of spiritual awakening and doing psychic development classes. I mean, you don't even have to do that. I mean, really, meditation helps. Just open yourself up to stuff. So, in a safe way, in a safe way. So protecting yourself spiritually before you do anything is going to make you feel more secure. So then maybe you will feel something on that tour. You know, maybe something will happen that it will be a positive thing and not something negative. Because a lot of people think, I don't want the negative thing. I don't want to get scared. I don't want something weird to happen to me or get attached to me. So I think that's where that blockage is coming from. So once people relax, they ground themselves, they protect themselves, you'd be surprised that a lot more positive spiritual interactions can happen that way.
And I think the opposite could be said as well, that a lot of people will go into things trying too hard to
Yes.
experience something, forcing an experience, and that I think is also creating another block as well.
Yeah.
Heather, you were saying something? You were going to say something?
Yeah, so Corey in the Facebook thing says, I give myself business hours with my psychic ability, otherwise I'm getting it from everywhere. So with what Dixie said, so in my martial art mind, there's white belt through black belt, and you have to develop that. So Dixie, what would be a very basic thing that people who are experiencing things could go, okay, here are the business hours?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I totally understand this, because I've had to put my foot down with certain spirits that would bug me at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, the door is closed. Business will start again at 8 a.m. So it's really putting your foot down and setting boundaries. And if these weird things happen to you and you don't want them to happen to you, I want everyone to just visualize imaginary doors shutting, letting the whole universe know, I am not open right now. I do not want to, I want to sleep, or I need to focus on something, or, whatever it is. It's just setting those boundaries with the spiritual realm and saying, I don't want to receive anything right now. But if you want to talk to me, I will be available at such and such hour. And it's literally just like that, setting up your business hours and saying, this is when I'm available, and this is when you need to leave me alone. And saying it in a positive way, or doing it in a positive way where it's not like literally slamming a door in their face. It's like, hey, I'm just not open right now. If you want to talk to me, come back at such and such day at such and such time. And you'd be surprised how much stuff will be flooding you at the minute your doors open up. You will get a bunch of business calls, but that's just me personally. So, I mean, everybody's different, but that's the way that I would do it, is absolutely set your boundaries and let them put your foot down and just say, hey, I'm open from such and such and such and such. And at this time, don't bug me. Don't come around. Just imagine that door closing. And then when it's 8 a.m., if you want to open the door, imagine the door opening again, saying, okay, guys, I'm all yours. Come at me. So that's what I would suggest.
So you think that people maybe should write a business hours sign and put it on their wall, open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.? Do you think the ghosts might read that?
Yeah. Well, because it's intention. So you're setting the intention that these are my business hours. So sometimes it does help to have a visual representation of that. So maybe people that aren't very visual can, draw it out, or, write your business hours down and take a little piece of paper, put it up on, somewhere that you're going to see. And while you're setting that intention that I am open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or whatever it is, you are letting everything in the spiritual realm know these are my hours. So that is a really good visual representation. And I guarantee you, if you put that energy into it and you put that intention into it, they will not bug you. And if they do, then it's time to bring in your big guns and ask your guides and angels to come remove that person because they violated your boundaries.
So I have a visual of like that creeper ghost in your room, and they're about ready to really be annoying, and then they see the sign. Dang it! They see
like, oh, I have to come back.
the 9 p.m. sign or I'm sorry, 5 to 9 or whatever. Dang it, they're not even open right now. I gotta come back.
But sometimes it's hilarious, but sometimes you got to do it. You really have to just set that boundary to let them know, like, no, I'm out to lunch right now, or I'm closed for the night.
I'm gonna try that. I'm making a sign when I get home. Before we move on, Heather, go ahead and finish that up.
So real quick, Dixie, so there's been a lot of activity for the last 11 years. And again, because it's just so familiar with me, I just kind of go, meh. Like I've got scratches, meh. The thing at the foot of the
Please
bed.
don't do meh. Just,
You're killing Cris right now.
You
you'll
had one
You're
job.
murdering him
I'll
slowly
explain that
every
later.
mess you say.
I'll explain that later. Yeah.
Okay. So usually what I do in my house is when something crashes or there's some noise, Dixie, I just go, knock it off, not right now. Is that acceptable?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, if you have something that is disrupting your, peace, or if you're trying to focus, or you got something going on, or if it's just invading your privacy or whatever it is, if someone is trying to get your attention in a negative way, then no, you don't reward that. If they're throwing stuff and, slamming doors and whatever poltergeists do, don't give them that time. Like, no, if you come at me in a very positive way, then I will respond to you. But yeah, if they're doing something in a negative fashion, then I would absolutely I've had to do this before, like, get the F out. We're done. We're done talking, or we're done with this. You need to get out of my space. You need to respect my boundaries and my space. And once again, if they do not listen and they want to be little brats, because there are spiritual brats out there in the world, I would definitely call in your big guns and ask your angels, guides, whoever you believe in, so spirit, source, universe, whatever, to just protect you and to remove them from your presence and not allow them back in.
I've told my son, because he's had stuff, I call them brats. So that was totally weird that you said that.
Psychic. But yeah, no, I mean, that's literally what it feels like in that household. Is they're just little brats trying to get attention, and they're doing it in a negative way. And just like any parent, don't respond to the negativity. And if they're doing ridiculous things, then don't reward them with that. So yeah, absolutely, tell them, get out of my space. That's not the appropriate way to contact me or communicate with me. And if you want to do things in a better way, then we can talk. But don't break my glass, and don't throw my stuff around and slam doors. That's not appropriate. Remember, they used to be, well, they still are. They are humans. So yes. For the most part, there's other stuff out there, but for the most part, they're human spirits that understand boundaries.
And before we wrap up here, we'll just take another question or two, and then before we sign off, there was a really good question from Christina. She asked, what steps do we take before taking on a new location, particularly for visitors and for events? That's a really good question, and I want to follow that with every place that we promote for an event or a tour, we stand by it. There have been plenty of places that we've investigated that really we don't feel that people will really connect with, or maybe we didn't have anything substantial evidence-wise or even personal experience-wise. We don't necessarily have to have a golden EVP. It would be wonderful if we could have the perfect piece of evidence for every single location. Some places are really dependent on those personal experiences, and it the second you walk in the door, and people will feel that. But there are the locations that we bring to the public for an event. We've either captured a significant amount of evidence and we want to share that. We want to create an opportunity for our guests to experience that. Or we feel that it's a location that's going to offer a really strong chance for people to experience something. We can't guarantee it, we can't promise it, but we feel that it's worthy of educating people about it. And so every place that we go, it always warrants an investigation by the team privately before we promote anything. So we never offer up a location for an event or a tour without going in there first and investigating it doing reports on it, collecting information and understanding the location before we present that to people. And every place needs to be safe. It needs to be not just literally safe, a place that people can physically, not fall downstairs. And granted, we've gone into caves and caverns and different kinds of places, but everything is safe and we stand by them 110%. There are many places that you guys don't know that we've gone to, and either that's because of a request by the client that they don't want their business, their residence, their property shared with the public, and we respect that 110%. That's non-negotiable. That's privacy is extremely important, but anything that we can share with you guys, we do. And sometimes they're not shareable at the time, but maybe a year later, that client will say, okay, you know what, I'm okay with you talking about this. So there have been some files that we have opened up or unsealed, as we call it, such as the Foxfire in Anaheim. That was a big one that was so hard to keep from the public at the time, but we respected it, and they were one of the best clients we've ever had. But anything we can share with you guys, we do. And if anything it can warrant an opportunity for a public investigation, you bet we're going to want to include you guys in that if at all possible. Heather, you were raising your hand for something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so sorry. So just I want to acknowledge the Facebook people. So Corey said regarding business hours, I had that happen a lot when I got a hat from Lena Horn. Don't know who that is.
Lorraine Warren? Is that what?
No. Lena Horn. Oh, I love something from Lorraine Warren. Trust me. She bum rushed me in the kitchen and was bugging me and my cats. As soon as I acknowledged her and told her what I needed, it was good. Everything was fine. And then I am so sorry. Anastasia Casillas?
Anastasia Casillas, I see that as well. And I would love to be able to get into this topic, and we might have to do that on a future.
Yeah, well, I just want to read it, and then in the future we can deal with it. I just want to acknowledge her. I remember past lives very vividly, and I am open to spirits. I was sleeping in a bed with my mom and brother, and the bed went up about a foot. I'm American Indian and
I can help you with this. I'm American Indian, and people that wanted to train me as a shaman has passed away after, and 2 died at night. I watched my mom's cousin at the time and place. He died in Arizona, and I was in my room here in Huntington Beach and told my mom how he would look in his coffin.
Correct. And then we have Nicole Cook that also offered, how do you go about finding new locations? Corey offered the Black actress who was famous. Oh, okay, that's who it was. So for future things, I think that would be awesome to address.
Yes, I agree. And Anastasia, thank you so much for sharing that. That will be a very interesting topic to touch on regarding past lives. I think,
and Corey is a new follower.
Very cool. Corey, yeah, I see Corey's been commenting. Thank you so much, Corey, for interacting with us and sharing your stories and your experiences. We really appreciate it, and hope we were able to answer some of your questions. And Anastasia, again, thank you. That's a really cool, interesting experience, and I think we're going to put past lives on the list for a topic of discussion in the future.
Well, that too. Definitely anyone in the audience that has any suggestions or anything that they want to hear or want us to talk about, comment and let us know. Let us know what you want to hear about and what you want us to discuss so that we can, give you guys a little bit more if you need education or enlightenment or, just hearing a ghost story or whatever it is that you want us to talk about. Definitely let us know.
Yes, please do. We want your suggestions. We want to be able to talk about the topics that you want to hear and the things that you're interested in. Um, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. And if any of the team has any final thoughts here, let's real quickly do a round robin here. I want to ask you guys, do you have any advice for people who've never done any haunted tour, an event, or imagine yourself as your first time going to an event with OC Ghosts and Legends? Imagine it's your first time ever, and maybe you're having some anxiety or some nerves, and you're not sure what to expect. Do you have any advice of what you could tell people who've never been to an event and how they can maybe walk into that confidently and not worry about it? Tawny, let's start with you.
I would say to take it seriously in terms of learning about the history, learning the story, learning the background. Because once you start the investigation, you already kind of have a sense of exactly what it is you're looking for, who you're wanting to talk to. And so I felt, because I've been to events where there's people that they don't take it seriously and they don't care, and they're kind of honestly wasting everyone's time. So that's the best advice, is just to learn the history about everything.
I like that. So you suggest maybe they do a little bit of research before they go into a place. Anything at all.
Yes, definitely.
Good answer. That's really cool. Christine, what about you? What advice would you give?
I would give, just do it. You have nothing to lose. Just do it.
Perfect.
You're in a safe environment. You're with safe people. It could be your one thing that you want to do on your bucket list. Just do it. Life is too short.
Perfect.
Just do it.
Perfect answer. Great. Heather, how about you? Oh, hang on. You're on mute. There we go.
Oh, sorry. With OCGL, I would sit first. What is your objective? What do you want out of this experience? And then decide whether you want to learn all about the place that you're going, or if you want to go with not knowing anything, so that any evidence you get is just what it is. And then just be.
Good answer. I like that. Dixie, any thoughts or recommendations, advice to anybody who is considering coming to an event? Maybe you're apprehensive, not sure what to expect.
Well, I mean, like I was saying before, with like protecting yourself, I mean, with really anywhere you go, you should be doing it. It's kind of hard to remember sometimes, especially if you're new at it, but I would definitely recommend protect yourself. Ask your guides to be present with you. Surround yourself in white light. Just visualize yourself being, surrounded in white light. And then, if you want to carry something that makes you feel powerful, whether it be something your grandma gave you or, a crystal or a religious icon or something, it definitely will help you to kind of center yourself and make you feel a little bit more secure and confident going into it. And I think that's the best advice that I can give is, try to remove a lot of the fear that you have and just know that you're protected and you're safe and that everything's going to be fine and you're going to have a great time.
Perfect. Heather, final thought. You were going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say maybe for a future thread or something that we can deal with, for Dixie to do a basic walkthrough about how to protect yourself, and a basic, like super basic thing of things that you can protect yourself with, because I'm viewing this as like martial arts because that's what I know. So I'm like at the white sash level. Dixie is like black sash and super master. So if she can just bust it down, so just super basic, maybe next level or the next thing, time we talk. So
it's a good suggestion. All right, guys. So once again, thank you everybody for joining us. My advice to everyone who is contemplating coming to an event or a tour, if you've been following us for a while and haven't been able to take the step to come and join us, my advice to you guys is: one, have fun. Two, um, go in with positive intent, and because that's the only way that we approach investigations and events. So have fun, go in with positive intention, and be ready and willing to make new friends and relationships, and to be able to have an opportunity to actually be able to talk about the things that you've been curious about when it comes to the paranormal, having a space that you can do so, no judgment. We're not going to make fun of you. We have wild stories of our own, trust me. So throw it on us. Come share those stories with us. That's what we're here for. We really hope that we will see you at a future tour or an event. And as our motto here at OC Ghosts and Legends, you are not required to believe anything. You are not required to disbelieve in anything. But the only thing that we ask of you is to simply challenge belief. Thank you, everybody. We wish you a very good night, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.